Live
Okay.
from MMA Fighting Studios, this is Between the Links. And now, your host, Mike Heck.
Only on BTL can you get 2 themes for the price of 1. That's right, everybody. The iconic voice of Esther Lynn welcomes you to a brand new edition of the program. It's another Thursday. And ladies and gentlemen, it's another Q&A edition of the show because there's just so much going on. We got UFC 305 coming up. We got a preview show coming up in just a couple of hours. So we figured, hey, let's just go live. Let's answer your questions about not just UFC 305, but all the big news going on, all the big fights announced, et cetera, et cetera. As Esther said, I am Mike Heck, and joining me as always, Mr. No Gray Area, the Hot Take Kid, the Cannonball Kid, and the Baron of Boob from MMAfighting.com, Mr. Jed Meshew. Hello, Jed. Excited to be back at the Meshew Mansion in a little over 48 hours from now.
It's going to be terrific. I love all the titles. I'm starting to sound like Daenerys Targaryen. Just you're speaking about me for a full 2 minutes before you actually get to my name. I'll need to accrue some more. And I'll keep working on it. I'll innovate my game to make sure you have to add more things to call me moving forward.
Yeah, there's 6 or 7 things that I left out. So you got a lot going on. And also joining us on, as he typically does on these Q&A editions, the baddest stash in all of MMA, the chair swinging fool himself. Sleeves are optional with the one and only E. Casey Leiden, who will be fielding your questions, commenting. There he is. How are we doing, Casey?
Doing wonderful. I was up very late last night working on videos coming in live from Perth, but I've woken up and I'm here with you on 2.5 hours of sleep, sleeveless, ready to talk mixed martial arts.
Let's go. All right. So bring them. Bring those questions. Throw them in the chat, of course. The super chatters, you are the VIPs, so to speak. I mean, you're all VIPs, but they just get to the front of the line. So let's go. Let's see what you got.
You're not all VIPs. You're not. Some of you mean more. If you want to be me, if you want to mean more, if you want to matter, you know what to do.
Yes.
You can sit outside the club waiting to get in, or you can, slide the bouncer a tenner, make your way on in. Choice is yours.
Well played.
Iced coffee. All right. Here we go. First question.
Thank you to all the super chatters.
Here we go.
You are VIPs.
Gee, shocking question. What's going on at the MMA Hour? I know, God, I hope we don't lose like a ton of viewers after this question, but here's the thing.
Don't answer it. Make them wait, Mike. That's good broadcasting. We'll answer this at the end of the show. Stick around.
And I'm gonna give you the answer right after this commercial break. Now,
Professional.
Honestly, I don't know. That's on. I wish I had more to tell you. I have no idea. That's it. That's really all I can say. We found out pretty much the same time you all found out that this was happening, and I know there's a million questions about this. I jumped on an IG Live for a little bit, and that was half the questions I got was what's going on, who's going to step in, what are we doing? And the answer is I have no idea. So stay tuned. What it does mean, Jed, and I know you're excited about this, it frees us up to do more cool things. So for everybody who wants swing rounds to come back and other things like that, we now have more time. Damn, they were good. We haven't had a damn in a hot minute, but now we have more time to do some of these things. So as we build towards what the answer to this question is, we'll be able to do a lot more video content. We'll do a lot more different things. So Jed, what would you like to say about the situation? Because Ariel's obviously great. He's always been great to me. We will miss him for sure. Tremendous teammate. Time for him to go after what he wants, and it seems like that's what he's doing.
Happy for him. I'm pretty clear in my stance on all of this. Do what makes you happy. And I know that he liked working here, but we'll find out kind of what the announcement is. Seems stoked. I'm sure that it will be something cool because that's sort of how he goes. And I will say that I think now is the right time, Mike, to announce that I'll be taking over the MMA Hour. We're going to rebrand it. It's going to be the MMA 6 Hours because that's a more appropriate title for the program. and it's just going to be this. It's just going to be us answering questions for 6 hours a day. It's going to be great. Everyone's going to really enjoy it. No fighters will come and do interviews because I've badmouthed many of them, and so they're scared to compete. Frankly, that's all I have to say. Fighters, if you don't come on my MMA hour, you're scared to compete, and no one can take you seriously as a professional combatant. So it's going to be great fun. I'm going to find my own, New York Rick and Mysterious Frank. I got to replace all of them. I'm not running out with anybody else's sloppy seconds here. I'm going to bring my own crew. It's going to be a good time.
There you go. There's your answer, folks. There it is.
All right. Thank you much. Super chat from Bobby Atkins.
Bobby, Mike Heck, future host of the MMA Hour. Seriously, though, I hope the watch parties continue. They will continue. It's funny. We had a meeting yesterday, and one of my questions was, will the watch parties continue? And then Jed just beautifully was like, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty easy for me to sit in if we need to. But we don't even know what's going on with that either. If Conor ends up going with Ariel, then we're at the Meshew Mansion. Jed can just walk 6 steps over to the couch.
It's a really easy commute for me if I'm called the service here. Unfortunately, Bobby, love the question. Mike won't be the host of the MMA Hour, as we've mentioned. I am taking over. So I'll bring him in. We'll have him there. He can be, because we're going to revamp the whole thing. We're going to go much more of kind of a late night host vibe. We're going to have the multiple couches, guests sitting in. We can have, Mike, what's your musical acumen? Can you be my Questlove? Is that an option for us? Or can I get you like a piccolo, a clarinet? What can you play?
I played the trumpet in the past when I was a young buck. My kid plays piano better than I probably ever played the trumpet, but I could MC, I could DJ. I could give you I could give you a good intro every week. I could probably produce your theme song pretty easily. So
I hear that you make the best theme songs in the business.
I got a couple of doozies in the can. So,
well, look, we'll find a space for you in the Jet Hour. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll get you in there. Don't you worry about that.
Love that. Thank you. My future is set.
You're covered.
But the watch parties will continue. GC is going to be there Saturday. Will he be there in September? We'll see. Hopefully. If not, we'll continue on.
All right. Thank you much. Super chat from our wonderful friend, Chase.
Is this the real Chase or the fake Chase? I figured this was coming. Jed, how happy were you when Dana basically told Chandler he's never getting the Conor fight? Me personally, it put a huge smile on my face. Jed, the floor is yours, my friend.
Look, I don't want to lie to anybody and pretend that I wasn't happy. Like it did put a smile on my face. But at this point, I want to be very clear. I don't feel bad for the man at all. At this point, it's just so consistent and so it's just happened so much that the novelty and joy is wearing off. Like it is no longer the deeply funny thing every time something like this happens. It's just like, oh, it's still funny that we're doing this, but it wasn't like I didn't break out into peals of laughter. I was like, oh, good heavens. What are we doing here? Because again, also other side of this, when Dana says something that does not make it true, there's just a long history of Dana saying things that aren't true. And so you shouldn't be like, oh, Conor's definitely not fighting this year. But I think a lot of us weren't sure that Conor was fighting ever again anyway. And so this does feel like confirmation of that. And then Conor comes out and says, no, I actually am fighting. But the funny thing about that is I don't know if you guys can remember 13, 15 months ago, but I can. And most of 2023 was Conor saying, I'm coming back at this date. And Dana being like, that's not happening. No, now I'm going to come back in December. I'm going to fight before the end of the year. And Dana being like, that's not happening. No, okay, I'm going to fight in January. That's not happening. I'm going to be the main event of UFC 300. I don't know where he's getting this. None of this is happening. And so when it comes to Dana talking about Conor returning, that has proven to be fairly true. So I would say that it is unlikely Conor McGregor fights in the year 2024, which is insane and really weird kind of from Dana as well. But before I do want to circle back to that, but Mike, like, what did you think when you saw that before I dive into the second piece of this?
I was torn. I was just like, whatever happens at this point. One thing I didn't expect to happen was for Michael Chandler to literally come out and say what all of us who have been covering the sport for so long have always said. Here's what Michael Chandler had to say to TMZ earlier today. Quote, Dana, as much as we love him, he has also said some things that were just absolutely false in press conferences and whatnot, which that's his job. Sometimes it's his job to give you the exact information. His job is sometimes to give you misinformation. So sometimes saying the fight isn't happening this year might mean that this fight is happening this year, just like he did when I already knew I was fighting June 29th. I think it was around the Super Bowl in February. He tells Pat McAfee that Conor and Chandler aren't fighting until the end of the year, probably. So you could read between the lines. But as far as I know, this fight has some very huge prospects to fight by the end of the year. Conor's ready. I'm ready. Let's sign on the dotted line. So hearing Chandler say it in still like a very friendly, somewhat political way is like, this doesn't mean the fight's dead. So if you're just ready to dance on my grave and dance on the grave of this fight and this potential matchup, you might want to pump the brakes a little bit. But I actually popped a little bit when he was like, when he said, Dana, as much as we love him, he has said some things that were just absolutely false. I thought that was fantastic. So he still has hope. He's ready to move on, but most of that TMZ interview was him saying, what are we doing here? Let's just fight in December. So I think I'm still gonna, if I had to bet, I think it does happen.
I'm still going to bet no, but it's really weird because the other piece of this that kind of struck me yesterday is how odd this whole situation is from Dana's perspective. Because we've made a lot of light of Dana being the world's biggest John Jones fan kind of out of nowhere. And like he doubled down on it this past week again and was like, if you don't have John Jones as the top pound for pound fighter, you shouldn't be able to speak about anything. Like just some real ludicrous nonsense. It is very odd to me that he is so heavily invested in John in this way. I honestly can't figure it out beyond like the baseline of he is so mad that Francis left and that Francis and John were once tied to each other that he now feels compelled to make John the best heavyweight in the world by big upping him to the exclusion of all else. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. But kind of tied to that, his total, like his super focus on promoting John Jones and his genuine disinterest in promoting Conor McGregor is baffling to me. Because when, like last year, when Conor was saying, I'm going to fight whatever, Dana would be like, that's not happening. When he should have been like, that's what Conor said. Great. I'll get him on the phone right now. We want to get him back because we want him back because we want to put him in pay-per-views because that is business for us. And Conor pulling out of this one saying, yeah, it's actually not that bad. Should be able to fight in a few months. And Dana is not moving heaven and earth to get Conor to fight again. And it is incredibly weird to me, especially given that their rights deal is coming up. And the way that their rights are structured now, the pay-per-views work for the UFC is they get a flat sum from ESPN per pay-per-view, but that sum is functionally an aggregate of the previous year's totals or et cetera. However, they have some sort of a system to be like, okay, we're averaging out pay-per-views over this time period, and that's kind of the flat rate we give you. Anything extra, ESPN keeps the difference. Anything beneath that flat rate, ESPN just eats that loss. Like that's how that was structured. And so as they are redoing a deal, the last time they redid a deal or they have a TV rights or something that this is coming on, that's when you get the full court press of here's all our best shit because we want to have the best foot forward when we're negotiating with Netflix, et cetera, et cetera. And so you would think, or at least I certainly would, yeah, I would like to have a Conor McGregor $1.4 million pay-per-view in hand to be like, hey, Netflix, if you want to get in this game, price of the brick going up. And he does not seem interested in that at all. And it is shocking I genuinely can't figure out why. Do you have any idea? Because I have none that seem reasonable.
I have no idea. If I had to take a guess, John Jones, before he fought Cyril Gane, let people know that he had an 8-fight contract that remained an 8-fight contract, but the percentages went up. So after the Cyril Gane fight, he still has 7 fights left in his deal with the UFC. Now, will he fulfill even 2 of those fights? Nobody knows at this point. But Conor has been very public that he has just 2 fights left on his deal. Is this a negotiation tactic? Is this the Nate Diaz situation all over again? Is that what this is? Where he's just saying, hey, we're just going to ice you? We offered you fights.
That's the thing,
he
though,
couldn't
Mike.
fight.
He has 2 fights. He has 2. Like, I would have 0 questions about what is happening if Conor was on the last fight of his deal. It would be the most obvious apparent thing. He has 2. 2 is more than 1. When you get down to 1, it doesn't magically be like, actually, now the contract's over because it's 1 or a few. Like, no, they still have 2. Why are they not going full? Like, why is he not being like, Conor wants to fight? We're already booked for December. That's the opening. We're doing it. December, Conor McGregor is back here. Like, I do not understand his total lack of interest in signing Conor. I cannot figure it out.
It's very, very strange. And even Chandler's response on Twitter yesterday was interesting, where he said, like, the sport will move on and thrive without you, which to some extent is true. It has. They haven't had him in 3 years, and the UFC's business is better than it ever has without a Conor McGregor fight. But like you said, heading into a contract year, so to speak, with negotiation and TV rights, you got to get the biggest star in history out there, even if it's just for 1 fight. Just get him out there, do a $20 million gate or whatever this gate was going to be for 303, and just sell 1 million pay-per-views. Like, we'll never know that number, but you got to think that Conor's return after 3.5 years is going to do 1 million, 1.5 million PPVs easy.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, we'll never know it, but Netflix will, because it's, hey, in the year 2024, our gross pay-per-view sales were this many. That number is better if Conor fought than if he didn't. It is probably 1 million and change better than a replacement pay-per-view thing, because he's probably doing 1.2, 1.3 million just on name alone. So I genuinely do not get it. If this was the last fight in his contract, okay, absolutely. Yeah, you're just going to wait forever and try and play that leverage game. And that's super shitty, but like, I at least would understand this. I even kind of got it when it was like, okay, we don't want to double up on him with 300. Totally makes sense. International Fight Week's coming. This is supposed to be a big event. We just want to put him at International Fight Week. Okay, well, I know we all think John Jones is fighting in New York City, and I guess that's the case. What are you waiting for with him? Like, what next big event are you looking at to get him involved? I don't get it, man. I do not understand what's happening here.
Is there a case that the UFC doesn't need superstars anymore?
No, they don't need it. They absolutely don't need it. Like 100%, they do not need it. But like, I don't need to eat steak, Casey. I still like to eat steak. Like, I wouldn't want to eat steak every night. That's a lot. And I don't need it. But like, it's there. I don't see the downside to Conor fighting I see zero downside to it at all. Like, I just don't get it.
The only reason I say it is because Conor is the only fighter that you could say maybe is bigger than the UFC, and that's not what the UFC wants.
Nope, they sure don't.
I'm kind of playing the other side here. I'm like,
you're absolutely right. Like, you're absolutely right. They've been down this road with Conor before. They don't want to do this again. They want popular fighters that will help them sell pay-per-views, but are also on Team UFC all the way. And sure, you'll get somebody like John speaking up against them. Occasionally, you'll get a Sean O'Malley talking about contracts and new deals and all of this stuff. But eventually, cooler heads end up prevailing, and the UFC is okay dealing with that. But when they were dealing with Conor in 2016, when they sold the company originally, and then even after that, and then heading into the Floyd fight, like, you're right. He was bigger than the sport, and that's a headache. It's just a big headache. It's money for the UFC, but you got to deal with a lot of stuff that comes with that too. So the UFC wants those 3 letters to be the star. They want the marquee. They want the sale to be UFC. That's why they could do record-breaking gates in St. Louis with Derek Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. They ain't buying tickets because Rodrigo Nascimento's fighting in a main event. They're buying tickets because it's the UFC. They're the brand right now. They're WrestleMania. That's who they are.
Yeah, but Conor doesn't diminish the UFC brand. Like Conor is bigger than the UFC brand 100%, but particularly when he's fighting under the brand, he rises the tide with him. And like there is literally not a downside. Like, what is the downside? People will be more interested in the UFC product. Like, he still has 1 fight left on his deal. Again, if this was the last fight and you're spending him out to then go be free and, do whatever he can, okay. Again, I think that's really stupid and morally despicable, but there's a logic there. Like, hey, we are in a contract year and trying to max our value. We have a dude who will increase our value. We are not trying hard to get him back here. If the other side, and there is a world where this is a Conor issue, right? Where the UFC, Conor is not actually saying, I really want to fight. He's just presenting that out publicly. But privately, he's like, I'm not doing it. I'm going to Ibiza for Christmas with my family, and I'm not fighting in December. Suck it. That is possible as well. The only reason I don't think that is true, Dana has no fucking issue throwing people under the bus. He does that shit all the time. He would just come out and be like, Conor don't want to fight this year, so no, he's not fighting. Like, I can't.
He's done it this year where he's like, listen, Conor's the best business partner we ever had, but when you got all that money and you're doing this, your motivation to fight just isn't there. And I think that's what we're dealing with Conor, so to speak. And yeah, it's just super weird. Let me ask you this. Is there a big difference in him fighting in December or fighting in January? Do you think they're looking maybe at January and that still would be like he's not fighting this year, which is technically still true, but you're just pushing him back a month?
I mean, that would depend on how their rights deal goes forward. But if he fights after the rights deal is done, I would say that is a fairly substantial difference. Whereas before, maybe it's not. Maybe they can negotiate with the promise of Conor McGregor. And maybe that is it. It's, well, if you take us, you get Conor because we only have 2 fights left, but you get both of them. Or we're like, I don't know. That's the only kind of thing. Otherwise, no, in general, their bottom lines don't, except for it probably affects somebody's bonus structure because people probably have bonus structure incentive tied to these things. And so, there's that. But it's not a major difference, but the issue I'm raising is it feels like a major difference as they're negotiating TV rights. Like, that feels substantive to me. So I can't understand why he is just so disinterested in promoting Conor anymore.
The deal's not up to the end of next year, right? End of 2025?
Is it the end of 2025?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
let me just make sure I'm 100% true. It's not. I don't think.
In my head, I thought the deal ended this year.
No, I think they could start negotiating. Runs through 2025.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, never mind. Everything I said's wrong. It doesn't matter then.
Yeah, it'll be 2020. The new deal would start in 2026.
Yeah. Everything I said is incorrect. We could just clip this out of the podcast then.
But still, no. But they could make a decision before then, right?
Well, they could, but
So you're not.
I assume
they will
let. I assume they'll let that go down to the wire unless someone Godfather offers them, because the longer it goes, the more opportunity they have to leverage. And just with all TV rights deals are like quarterback contracts. You want to be the last guy to sign your contract because the next guy after you is getting more. It's just TV rights deals are only skyrocketing. So the longer you wait, the more value you're going to procure from it. So, my mistake. Thought it was into this year. Yeah, totally get it now. Seems fine. They don't give a shit as long as you fight.
There will be a contract
next December,
like 9 months before it ends or whatever. I mean, it's not going to be like
maybe.
Yeah, the deal will be done well before the they will announce a new deal well before this deal ends. Yeah. You would assume.
I would say at the earliest, I would anticipate the summer.
Yeah, I mean, look at what WWE did. They announced the Netflix deal, and they're still with. What is it? They're with like USA or whatever for Raw until like October, November. Universal, I think, actually. Yeah, I think it's Universal. But yeah, either way, they announced it well before. So yeah, I think we're going to get that now. I think we'll probably know by International Fight Week 2025 what they're going to do.
That would track. I mean, what they're going to do is go to Netflix and maybe do a split deal.
Yeah,
I'll be
there'll be
fairly
multiple
surprised if they
releases.
don't sign with Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that enough Conor talk for a guy that's never going to fight?
God.
It hasn't fought in billion
Yes.
years.
I'm still just as confused about this whole
More
thing
than enough
as
Conor
I have
talk.
been all year. Yeah.
Yeah. When are we over it? Is there like?
I've been over Conor McGregor for 7 years.
Okay, all right, yeah. 'Cause I've been
The,
over
the
this
MMA
fight.
community is not.
No.
I was gonna say that because I saw we did another. I just scrolling with our Instagram and another Chandler Conor post, which looked exactly like the same post that we probably put up 9 months ago, and it still had like 10 zillion likes and comments. So
Yeah.
engagement, baby.
There's a lot of newer fans. There's a lot of newer fans who know of the sort of aura that Conor brings, but have not seen him fight. So those people are like really intrigued by it. But those of us who have been watching for 10 years plus and through this entire Conor run, we're just ready for something to happen.
Mike Worse, they have seen him fight, but they saw him fight after 2016.
Yeah, that's actually.
If you saw him fight before 2016, he was awesome. If you've seen him fight in the last decade, he sucked shit.
Is there an equivalent to this? If like a non-MMA fan, like if you were a baseball fan, like I got into baseball, but I just missed this guy. I don't know. I'm trying. Is there any sort of equivalent you can kind of us growing up watching sports is like, or is this a very unique thing? Like someone on this level that just kind of disappearing, but also being there, but just not.
It's Mike
Jordan.
I mean, Mike Tyson is the comp. Tyson, after he went to prison and then came back, he was never Tyson.
Yeah.
I mean, after Buster functionally, but he was super not Tyson after prison and coming back, and then the Lennox Lewis stuff and the ear bite, which is like, I don't know. Mike Tyson biting the ear is honestly not that dissimilar to Conor McGregor shattering his leg and then screaming obscenities at Dustin Poirier's wife and making like legitimately abhorrent threats. It's just all kind of in an insane move. And so Tyson feels like a pretty decent comp.
Yeah, right. Because so many people say Tyson's their favorite fighter, but they were like not born or babies when Tyson was in his heyday, So yeah, I can see that. That's a good one.
Yeah, and it's like, like Tyson is like a cultural relevant human that people are like, yeah, Mike Tyson rules. And it's like, I don't know. He was dope, but like there's like I didn't get to really watch the Mike Tyson prime as like I watched boxing a lot with my dad growing up. Like he was into boxing, we did it, but I'm pulling up Tyson to think like when the first. Because, like, we definitely watched the Holyfield fights. Like, we ordered those pay-per-views and watched them. But, like,
You bought Peter McNeely. You bought Peter McNeely. How?
Well, I didn't buy anything. My dad bought it. But, like, I wasn't old enough to watch Buster
Medfield,
Douglas.
Mass. God, Peter McNeely. What a time in Massachusetts when he got the Tyson fight. He talked all sorts of greasiness.
For those pay-per-views, didn't you have to literally pick up a phone and call?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you had
to have a pay-per-view box too.
Yes.
You had to have like a special box.
Yeah, they called them
to do it. And so but Douglas was 90. I was not old enough to do Douglas, so I came into boxing even when I was 8 and still didn't know anything. Watching the Holyfield fights, like I came in to know that Mike Tyson is a very scary man, and you see the highlights of him knocking people out, and then your first experience is him biting Evander Holyfield's ear because he's getting his ass beat so bad he doesn't have any other answers. And it's just like, that's it. But like, I'm the same as everyone else. Like when I got older, I went back and watched Tyson do cool stuff. I was like, yeah, I get it. That guy was pretty cool when he was cooking.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Chase. Lots of super chats coming in.
I think you got your 10. I think you got your $10 worth.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Great question. That's how you do it.
Super chat from Lazybed. Actually, I don't know what this means, but maybe I missed this in the sports news.
Is Pratchett single-handedly making SIGs great again? Pratchett likes to rip a couple butts.
Rips a couple
for
darts.
his fights. A couple darts.
Dude,
darts.
He rocks. Carlos Pratt is awesome.
He's a dart smoker. So
All right.
he might be.
Unembedded, he went up and
might
just
be.
talked to Izzy and was like, "Hey man, like we've met before back at like when you fought in China like a lifetime ago." And Izzy's like, "Oh, that's awesome." It's like, "Yeah." And it was just like, Carlos Prates, you rule. You're too old to like be a good prospect, but you're fun as hell, man. I love a fighter who's just going to go out there and just fire heaters. Like, is this good for my cardio? Not a chance. Don't care at all. Life's too short. I'm trying to have a good time.
And then rip a couple darts after.
Just going.
Please rank these fights in order of most likely to happen. Johns versus Aspinall, Conor versus Chandler, Conor versus Holloway 2, Harrison versus Nunez, Aldo versus Cruz.
Okay, Jones Aspinall is the very bottom. It's because it's 0.0001%. Never say never. Miracles do happen every day. That would be a certified miracle if that fight takes place. That's bottom. Conor Holloway 2 is just like right above it. Like they are the same. There is a world where Conor would take that fight because he respects Max, and certainly Max would take it. It'd be very big business, particularly if Max is the BMF champion and Conor feels like he can get something out of it. But if I am Conor's team, I am strongly suggesting he not get the shit kicked out of him by Max Holloway because we saw how that worked with Dustin. He gave Dustin a rematch, and now no one talks about Conor killing Dustin the first time. They talk about Conor getting done up. So I would say that both of those fights are extremely unlikely to happen. Aldo Cruz, I'm still going to hold out some chance that happens. I don't think it's very likely.
It's the easiest one to make happen, but it won't.
It's the easiest one to make happen, but they've already got Aldo, fighting whoever. I don't even know who's
Mario
fighting.
Batista.
Mario Batista, which is just like
in
the
altitude
weirdest use
again.
of Jose Aldo. But at least Mario Batista, like that's better than Marab at altitude. It's a really weird use of Jose Aldo. I don't believe Dominic Cruz will ever fight again, but if he were to fight, he would fight Jose. Like if that offer came across his board, he would accept. It's just a matter of Aldo wanting to do it. So I'll say that has a 5 to 10% chance of happening. I really don't think Conor's fighting again, but maybe he will. I would say that that's next. And then the most likely is Harrison Nunez, which I believe will happen. I would say that's over 50% of likelihood. Harrison gets the belt. And honestly, by the time she gets the belt, there won't be anyone for her to fight because she's already about to kill Vieira, and then she'll kill whoever is the woman who holds the belt, be it Pena or Pennington. And then they'll just bring Nunez out of retirement and they'll do it. And it'll be a big fight. And I don't know where we go after that, but I think that fight is more than 50%. So that's my order.
Conor, I'm just going to be Mr. Positive here. I'll say Conor Chandler. I'll say Aldo Cruz. I'll say Harrison Nunez because I think those are the three most likely fights. Like these three can all happen.
Yes.
Like there is a realistic road for all of them.
Correct.
Jones Aspinall, there's probably some sort of like tiny, bumpy, nail-filled road that you have to get through. So you need to get like the best tires possible to tread through that sludge and awfulness to get
for
there.
Jones
But
Aspinall?
there is a road. Yeah, there's a road. It's just a dark.
No,
it's the Odyssey.
It's a road in
gonna be the
Fallujah
Odyssey.
that's no chance.
Yeah,
this is a road that is beset by mines and toxic waste. Like there ain't nothing. No,
if you
it's a
get
Borderlands road. Also, just saw
Odyssey,
Borderlands. That movie is terrible.
Yeah, it's the Odyssey, and then I don't think Conor Holloway 2 happens. I mean, yeah, I just don't see a world unless Conor resigns and has a bunch of fights.
If Conor beats Chandler and then refuses to resign, that would make sense to me as a final fight. because it's a big fight. It's a fight Conor will lose dramatically, but it's a fight that Conor can sell himself on the benefits to fighting it. So I could see that being the final fight of Conor's contract. I don't think it's likely, but I can squint my eyes and pick it out.
All right. Thank you much, Kenny. Wait, you watch Borderlands? Why?
Because I see almost everything that comes out.
Oh, okay. All right. Man, I didn't realize.
I'm an AMC Stubs member, Casey.
You're one of those guys. Yeah, you see all the bad
There's an
movies
AMC
too.
that's like a half mile from my place. So like pretty much every Tuesday and Thursday, I'll just go see whatever's in theaters that I haven't seen.
Copy that. Man, I was watching an interview of Cate Blanchett, and I didn't realize Borderlands has been kind of like in post-production so long. She was shooting that Borderlands at the same time she was shooting Tar. Did you see Tar?
I did see Tar.
Which I freaking
Tar
loved.
is much better than Borderlands.
Tar is amazing. Go watch. Everyone at home, watch Tar tonight. Yeah, just watch. It's a great film.
Well, it's a lot of a film, but it is a good film.
Borderlands
is just like, Borderlands should be good. Like, it has a lot of people who are good at their jobs in it.
Yeah.
And it is like, there's not a bad actor in the movie, like, frankly. And it just whiffs entirely. Like, it's a huge miss. It's not the worst thing I've seen this year, but like, I kind of thought that it had a chance to be decent because of the people involved in it. I was like, nope.
Is it Madam Web level?
No. Madam Web and Argyle are locked in a death battle for the worst film I've ever seen.
Okay.
Borderlands is several tiers above them, but like it's one of the 5 worst movies I've seen this year. It just has nothing. Like it's not. Madam Web is bad. Like, you can see that, and as not a filmmaker, I can be like, I could do parts of this better. This is bad. How did this happen? Like, Borderlands is a professionally made film that just has no thing that draws you into it at all.
I could talk about Madam Web a long time, but we're going to move on and talk about mixed martial arts.
This is a really bad movie.
Thank you much. All right. Super chat from Cole.
Scott McCrate. I did have a movie pass. I was one of the very early adopters of movie pass. I was a huge movie pass dude when it came out, because I was like, dude, this is $10 and it works. It worked everywhere when it first came out, and so it was sick. And then obviously they had a million scandals, and it was really terrible in the long run. But I was in on the ground floor with movie pass.
Thoughts on Dana comparing power slap to boxing? I've not heard this.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
it is unbelievable, Mike. The clip takes about 10 seconds. You'll find it is all over Twitter yesterday.
I'll be honest with the world. I'm a man of conviction. I tell the truth. I muted power slap on Twitter so long ago that I don't see any of that shit. I don't see any of that stuff. Unless the UFC like puts it out there and you can't ignore it. But any clips about power slap that Dana says does not hit my timeline, which is the best.
Well, the thing that was weird is it was like the Nelk Boys or the Full Send, like one of those, like he was on that podcast, and one of the dudes pushed back on him and was like, dude, Dana, power slap blows. Dana was like, what are you talking about? It was like, it's the same thing.
Was that Bob Menery?
Buddy, I don't have any idea what these people's names are. It was just a guy. He was just like, Dana, and Dana's like, what do you mean? It's like, it's the same thing. Like, I can tell you what happens in every power slap. They stand up there, one dude gets hit in the side of the face and the fight's over. Every once in a while, that dude gets hit in the side of the face, stands back up, and then he hits the other dude and the fight's over. There's nothing novel or new. It's just watching the same thing over and over again. And Dana is like, well, that's ridiculous. What do you think MMA is? It's the same thing. It's like, no, there can be wrestling and boxing and kickboxing, and there's submissions and a whole bunch of, okay, what about boxing? Boxing's been around 100 years. It's the same thing. And it's just like, Dana, boxing has been around far longer than 100 years. And is like, it was just the most like, he was confronted with a very obvious truth and had no answer around it. It's like, no.
Because just say the truth, Dana. It's like, oh, did we just have idiots hitting each other in the face and people apparently pay money and download apps to watch it? That's
You could
the
also say you could say the truth and acknowledge what he's saying. Like, you know what? There's a lot of repetitive action there. But I also watch the same movies and listen to the same music. Like, people don't mind that if what is being repeated is cool, and it's pretty cool to watch a dude get floored. And like, maybe that's not for you, but it's just like the classic Dana thing of, hey man, I don't think this thing is very good. Well, you're stupid and you
You're
should not
stupid,
have
yeah.
the ability to think. I don't agree with the thought that you have in your head, so you shouldn't have any thoughts. You don't think John Jones is the best fighter ever? You shouldn't be allowed to think about MMA. Oh, you don't care for power slap? The answer is never like, that's okay, man. Not everything's for everybody. Maybe you don't have to support it. A lot of people do with the fastest growing sport in the world or whatever. No, it's, oh, you don't? Fuck you. I hate you and everything that you exist in representation of. It's all so combative so often. I've said this a lot. It honestly must be a really exhausting way to go through life.
Yeah.
This reminds me of
It is.
for newer fans. If you weren't around, when Dana talks about John, this is how he used to be in the combative way. How he used to be when the name Fedor or whatever come up. Like, it would just be instant argument, instant you're an idiot. It was just like this for like, I feel like 3 or 4 years. It was just like that. And I feel like we're kind of this new era of it, but now it's about John.
Also, Beastman, again, you're not a VIP. You haven't paid to make this comment, so you actually aren't a VIP or important. Boxing is not the same. Every boxing match is not the same. They're just, it's not.
You're allowed to block the punch in boxing.
You're absolutely allowed to not care for boxing. You don't have to. I'm not telling you to like boxing or to not like power slap. I've been really clear. If you're into power slap, that's fine. It's not for me. I don't have the same moral issues with it that many people in this space do. Very obviously, boxing has substantially more craft and difference to it than power slap does. Like, it's very obviously.
Find me a power slap fight that compares to the Virgil Ortiz Boachuk fight. Give me that. Find one. Find something that matches what those two dudes did on Saturday night. The answer is you can, and you won't.
Just being like, rock, paper, scissors is basically the same as chess. Like, both end with the winner and loser. You make some moves and it's over. Like, nope, they're just not. And that's okay. It's just not.
Look, power slap ain't for me, and I'm tired of hearing about it. I wish if it was so big, it would promote itself, but it doesn't. The UFC has to promote it, which tells you everything you need to know. However, it is a brilliant short-term business considering where we're at in 2024, because that thing is a social media juggernaut. You can make a shitload of money on social media right now, and clips of that nature are going to do well. It's just going to. And you can make a ton of money posting those on social media. You will never get a television deal. Like, this ain't going to be on ESPN. They tried with TBS, seemed like a cash buy to me. Nobody watched it. And this is when AEW was pumping ratings. They were giving them 1 million people into their show. And their ratings, average viewers for that time slot was like 220,000. They went from 1 million to 220,000 in that hour. This thing has no staying power on television. It's not going to do pay-per-view. No one's going to buy it. You want to throw it on Rumble? Perfect place for it. You want to throw it on social media, those clips? Perfect place for it. This thing is just not, I just don't see it lasting because of the similar nature of it. Like, how many times can you watch somebody slap somebody in the face?
It has no long-term appeal to it. It is uniquely perfect for the current age, though, of like
100%.
Bite-sized social media consumption. Like, I am extremely confident that it does do very well on TikTok because, like, I assume they call them fights. I've still never watched one. I assume they call them fights because that seems like the fights last 12 seconds. Like, so it's perfect for like TikTok and Reels and that sort of thing. And ride that pony as long as you can, man. Like, if you can continue to do something with this, that's a successful business. Cool. But like, you just don't have to lie. That's always my thing. You just don't have to lie about like it being the same as boxing. Like, sorry, I'm not on a crusade in power slap. It's fine. Whatever you want to do is cool. Just don't lie to me about it being the same as boxing. It's not.
I will say it is a quote unquote sport that looks better vertical than portrait.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
horizontal.
it's like absolutely perfect.
It's made to sit on the toilet and go, oh, whoa. Like, that's it. And that's a $1 billion industry, I guess.
Shit. Next one. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, now here's a movie clip. Now here's some dude talking about Paul. I don't want to get like that's your TikTok experience. It's perfect for it.
All right. Thank you.
And getting Paige involved was a brilliant move too. Brilliant.
I mean that's how Casey got involved. That sold Casey.
I mean, and I've always said that as long as if you have people I know hitting each other in the face, I mean not know personally, but just whatever I know I've heard of, then I'll peek over. But not watching it. Yeah. All right. Thank you much. Oh, an actual MMA question. Here we go.
What? Does this happen last night?
Yes. They announced UFC Edmonton for November 2nd. I live here. It'll be my first show. Will Jose and AK be on the scene? Love the show.
It is extremely unlikely both will be on the scene.
Yeah.
Very possible one will be on the scene.
Maybe AK. Maybe AK.
Let me figure out. I don't actually know.
Aaron Blanchfield, Rose Namajunas, Derek Lewis, Alexander Romanov.
I am uncertain that we put anyone there. Actually, I don't know. What's
I hope we send someone.
We may.
That's a nice fight night. That's a nice fight night.
We may, but that's. I mean, it is a flight from Toronto. It's not even like a close fight, frankly. So
yeah, it's like the equivalent of it's like East Coast going to the West Coast in the U.S.
Pretty much.
Vancouver's on the PST, or Edmonton, excuse me. Yeah, it's a hike.
It's a hike. So very possible that one of them. I certainly won't be both.
Man, I kind of miss pre-pandemic UFC Canada because of that I got to visit all the provinces. I think I've hit Vancouver, hit Calgary, hit Winnipeg, I hit Edmonton.
That'll be the first time.
It's been a while since I've gone back to Edmonton.
It's first time since
Edmonton. That was
2019.
I know it. DJ, right? No, DJ. He fell off the fight the very last second. It was Nunes Shevchenko, right? No, what was it?
Max Frankie.
Max Frankie, I was there too.
Cyborg was the co-main.
Felicia Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
Max Frankie.
Boy, that was a fight.
And your boy Arman Sarukian beats OAM on Canadian soil. So 5 years. So back in the Big E.
All right. Thank you much.
I love when they do like returning cities, so you can go back and see where what happened on the older cards when they were there, because they just announced the Macau card for November, and I was like, when was the last time they were there? It's been 10 years, and going back and looking at that card that was headlined by Michael Bisping and Kung Lee, like Tyron Woodley was in the co-main event, just absolutely ethered Dong Hyun Kim. Even Colby Covington fought on the prelims of that card and got a first round TKO win on that card, which is crazy.
He finished somebody
first round
in the first round.
Yep,
this is the only time that ever happened.
He was hungry back then.
Since I don't know if we have any questions about this, and it is related. What do we feel about this? I assume that's the main event between Rose and my girl.
Yep.
How do we feel about this?
I don't know. We'll see.
I mean,
I like the matchup.
I love the fight.
I like
the matchup.
Yeah.
But if Aaron wins and Manal has the belt, do we run that? Like, that's the thing. Like, if Rose wins, sure, she's just getting into a title fight. Like, that's just what we're doing. But when Aaron beats the hell out of her, if Manal is champion, which super could happen, like, what? I don't know. Flyweight's just real weird. Like, because they have waited for a lifetime to do Grozov Shevchenko 3. It's just super weird now for their timing of stuff.
I mean, maybe the UFC sees it as a fight that Rose can win. And they could throw her in a title fight. Very possible. I think
If
Rose
Rose does win, then Rose is next in line after Manon. But
sure.
And I guess if Aaron wins, they probably just will do that and hope Manon doesn't beat either Shevchenko or Grasso, whoever it is. Or Shevchenko and Grasso will fight to another draw and they'll just face each other in perpetuity, just forever.
Yeah. It's a good fight. I like the matchup. Like I think it's a great fight because more so on the Blanchfield side, because I want to see what she learned and what she took away from the Manon Fiorot fight. Because Rose is just not.
I don't think Rose can test her in those ways, because the lesson she could learn is Manon's a hoss, and I can't just hoss people around if she is also a hoss. Rose isn't even a hoss at strawweight. She's really not a hoss at flyweight. Like, I kind of think Manon's just going to be like, once I hold you, you're dead. I'm just going to throw you around the ring. But I guess we'll see. That's why they fight the fights after all.
Yeah, I like the matchup. I like the matchup. And if Blanchfield does what you and probably others believe Blanchfield can do in this fight, that's huge.
All righty. And who is Derek Lewis facing?
Alexander Romanov.
Yes. It's the big fella.
Ugh. What a not Jairzinho, not the obvious fight to make. Now let's just chuck him in there with another dude that could suplex him.
You can't fight Jairzinho yet. Jairzinho's fighting this weekend, Mike.
I know, but I still don't understand why we haven't booked that fight. It's just insane.
Well, because Jairzinho's probably going to get a big lunchbox in his face and need some time off.
Derek Lewis should be fighting Robelis to Spain. Like, that's who.
Yes,
Robelis is fighting 100%. Yeah, Robelis is fighting Austin Lane.
Particularly since we booked Chris Barnett because we're cowards and wouldn't do Huggy Bear versus Robelis. But yeah,
that's why Chris Barnett's fighting.
Yeah, it sucks.
Why
do
they keep booking Waldo Cortez Acosta against these fighters? I don't like it.
I don't know. Book Derek Lewis versus WCA. Like, I don't know.
That would have made more
sense. Salsa boy.
All right. Next super chat.
J-Fish, all I know is Vox better pull up the Brinks truck for Mike and Jed, of course, so we can upgrade the Meshew mansion to Castle Meshew. Casey as well.
Yay.
Chateau Meshew. We won't go castle. We're not plebs. Add a little bit of class here. J-Fish.
Yeah.
Chateau Meshew.
Got to walk before you run.
We'll have vineyards outside.
Dana past his prime as promoter president.
Dude, Dana's been past his prime as a promoter for almost a full decade.
Oh yeah, we saw glimpses of him for the Mayweather McGregor build, like glimpses.
Every once in a while, he can break it out. But no, he's
reacting to PFL stuff is classic Dana.
Yeah, I won't speak to him as a president because one, I'm not like in the UFC day to day. And like pretty objectively as a business leader, he has done very, very well with the UFC. I think based on all the reporting and everybody you talk to, pretty clearly the Fertitta brothers kind of were more important to that aspect of it prior to the sale. And I don't know to what extent, Ari Emanuel has kind of taken that role from Dana. It's unclear to me where those lines are drawn as far as a lot of the things they have worked on is. But nominally, he is, at least in name, he is the CEO of a company that is massively successful and continuing to grow year over year to functionally become like a major, major sports entity. Like very clearly as a president of a company, at least on paper, he does very well. I can't speak to anything beyond that. As a promoter, objectively, he has not been good for a long time. And a lot of that is, I would argue that a lot of that is style. He is a very particular style of promoter. He doesn't have more than a fastball, and that doesn't work against everybody. But also pretty objectively, he doesn't care anymore. And it is much more like if he wanted to try day in, day out, I'm not even sure he could, but he just very obviously does not care to try. So no, he's a terrible promoter.
Oh man, there's The energy that Dana used to use promoting events back in the day, back when I was traveling the UFC circuit, like the UFC 20s and stuff, when Dana would do an hour scrum after the press conference and then do 45 minutes to an hour of one-on-ones with not just their media broadcast partners, but just websites. Like me and Ariel, for at least like I would just call it 40 to 50 pay-per-views would be kind of promised time with Dana both before and after the event. That just seems ludicrous to suggest that would ever happen now. Not even talking about Ariel, but just Dana talking to just a website that's not a broadcast partner or not some sort of whatever non-sportsy podcast or whatever. Just someone's gonna just, Dana, you're cool. Tell us about Power Slap type of interview. It seems it kind of blows me away to think the type of access that sites used to have with the UFC and just how much Dana was out there. And it's a different world now. It's just so he is way past his prime as a promoter, but he's making money, so that's the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. It is the spoils of war. Like I'm not. It would obviously, I would like it better if he was better at promoting, but he got to this place, and if I got it, like straight up, if I was where he was at, I mean, I would have retired, frankly. But if they're going to pay me $100 million a year to run up this thing, and I don't have to do shit, I will take that paycheck any day of the week. If anyone out there is offering, I will give you my phone number. We can discuss those details. But yeah, like, if he wants to try, the UFC can do stuff. They don't particularly want to try, and Dana in particular doesn't. And when he does, because frankly, here's how you know this is true. Look at how Dana promotes Power Slap. He is trying to promote that. I would still say that that's not like he's past when he was good at stuff, but he is still actively working to promote Power Slap. He doesn't do that with the UFC. Like it is the cursory things, and that's just sort of how everything goes in just life. You get older, you get less interested.
Yeah. He's won. He's won the game.
Yeah, and you won.
And you know what? He has people in the organization that can do it for him. That's why I like talking to Anik so much before these cards, because the dude just gets me fired up, and I get him fired up, and like, that's what you're supposed to do. Listen to Anik talk about these fight cards. Like, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. You're right.
And he'll answer the tough questions. Like, I'll ask Anik some questions that he probably isn't 100% comfortable answering, but he'll do it anyways, at least to the best of his ability. He won't call me an asshole and a piece of shit. He won't call me after and cuss me out. Like, he'll just answer it. He might go on a show and throw, like, once in a while I think I asked him about the criticism of Joe Rogan, and he gave like a great answer, and then he went on his podcast and was like, yeah, as long as no one asks me about Joe Rogan or something like that. And I was like, all right, you son of a bitch. But you know what I mean? Like that, but that's what Dana used to be. He used to have that enthusiasm and excitement. And there are times when he does, but it's only, again, he's won, and I don't blame him for it, but he can be real stubborn. He can be real stubborn. And now it's like certain things he'll do just out of spite, just to like prove the media wrong. Like Jones Stipe, that might be the one time we found out what actual pay-per-view numbers are. Because that thing does over 1 million. They're going to broadcast that to the world. And Dan's be like, see, I told you. Just like the UFC 300 hit piece. See, this is what the media thought of you guys before 300 delivered and was like one of the coolest cards ever. But in the end of the day, most of us said that this is like the best card of all time on paper. Just the main event announcement didn't blow our socks off because, well, you told us it would, and it just didn't.
And he pulled so many of those clips out of context that were before fights were even announced.
So many.
So that's
not
good.
We came. They were
just. Yeah, they were just. Yeah, they were just. Yeah, it was just bad.
Like 85% of promotion is just enthusiasm, like being enthusiastic and thus spreading enthusiasm to others. And he didn't have that anymore. Was it? So no, yeah.
There you go. All right. Thank you much. Super chat from Matthew Garrett. Matthew Garrett.
Cheers, lads. Is Dricus the next megastar in MMA?
No.
I don't think so.
He got a surprisingly big reception in Australia. If you've watched the embedded and stuff, like people are here for him. I think he has. I mean, there's one really major impediment, but there's the other. There are two, I guess. One is I don't think he just has that it factor. I like Dricus way more than most people, I think, honestly, but he doesn't have that sort of like he's charismatic in like a B tier way, not in like a oh everyone is naturally drawn to him. He does not have the it or the wow or whatever, which kind of caps him. Like just pretty clearly the way Dricus moves through life and the way say Ilya Tapuria do, very very different. Like there's an aura that is there. But the other part is to be a megastar, you gotta win like a lot and in big moments, high pressure. And he has done a terrific job of winning fights that honestly many people did not think. I think more highly of him than I think most people in this space do. He has some extremely bad flaws, like that should be prohibitive to him being a champion, frankly, but aren't because the middleweight division is super weird and kind of in a flux state / bad right now that he has gotten to be here. But I'd be astonished if he defended the belt 4 times.
All right. Thank you much.
Yeah, I think he's popular. I think he gets popular as time goes by, especially if he wrecks Izzy on Saturday. But yeah, I don't know if megastar is what I would call him.
Would he be a bigger star than? Could he be a bigger star than Izzy?
So I don't think so, but I do
Me
think
neither,
he can be. I think that there is a path. I think it is extremely unlikely. But if he goes out here and he beats Izzy after all the talking, that like the way people are stars is they get buoyed up by killing bigger stars than them. Like that's how every star is done. They have a natural gravitas and they kill the right people and suddenly they are the king of the mountain. If he kills Izzy, that's a big step. And then there is at least a world. Again, I would not predict this to happen. I'll be all the way clear. But if he kills Izzy and then defends his belt again against Strickland and maybe defends his belt again against random dude, Bo Nickel, whoever the hell it is, and then they say, hey, okay, go up and fight Alex Pereira. And then he beats Alex Pereira, really narrow path to walk. If he walks it, he'll be a pretty big damn star.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's rolling sevens 12 times in a row. But legitimately, I've used this analogy for Conor all the time. Like, I think people underestimate how lucky Conor's career was. Like, it was just it's the Wyatt Earp theory of like, if you play enough, one person will get there. Conor rolled sevens so many times in a row to get where he's at. And if Dricus does it, then he'll get there. But like you would never predict that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Now Conor's, what's the opposite of 7? Snake eyes? What is it?
11.
11.
Crap
yeah.
out, baby.
So like all those great roles he had, now it evens out. It evens out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Eventually everything settles in. But if you can just front load a bunch of really big wins and high leverage moments, which already, that's the thing, DDP has already done that. Like that part of this has already been that. So it's really unlikely that he keeps doing it, but maybe he's one of God's favorite people and he's the chosen one and he does it.
All right. Let's hit the super chat because this is going to be a fun one.
Buckle up.
Any thoughts on why Izzy insists on making this a race thing super cringy?
Does he insist on making this a race thing?
That's my question.
Has he said anything this week that feels racist? I mean, other than that one tweet, which I guess was actually racially coded, but I was more just stuck on how cringe it was than like that being a racially coded thing. If you don't know the tweet, I'm certain it's still up. You just go check Izzy's Twitter. It's the type of thing that I probably would have found amusing in 7th grade. I would need specific examples where he's like kind of leaned into this beyond the sort of clear undercurrent of this of the true African thing. And the reality is that's part of the story. And him not shying away from that is fine with me. And as much as Dricus has tried to walk that back pretty unsuccessfully, frankly, Dricus said what he said, and it is there just ain't no way around what he said being racially coded and a little shitty. And so for that to stick in Izzy's craw, like I can wear on that. Like
I get it.
That seems reasonable to me.
I get it.
Yeah. I also, for me personally with this fight, I am trying to avoid all of it. Like media day, the press conference, I'm sure is going to get real weird. I don't care about any of that stuff with this fight. Like I really, at this point, let's just do it. This has been built up for so long. I think that's a part of the reason why some of the steam has let out of this one is because this has been one of the longest buildups ever. And I just think the matchup, it checks off all the boxes. It's storyline, it's style, and it's stakes for not just the belt, but for the legacy of both of these guys, especially Adesanya. So, like, I don't care about any of this stuff. I don't care about the media day and the quotes and what they're going to say to each other at the press conference. I do not care. I just want to see them fight at this point.
Oh, I care. I find this deeply fascinating, and at some points amusing. Certainly, a lot of points like tough, but I do think it's pretty fascinating undercurrent. And like, oh man, I am not the kind of person who has to deal with stuff like this. I think I too would be pretty upset if somebody questioned my identity. Like, I was born and raised in the South, and I am Southern and an American man. But if I like lived in Europe for some time and they're like, "You're not American," I'd be like, "Hey, fuck you." Like I am. Like to question somebody's identity that you don't even know, like I can totally understand that being something that sticks with you and he doesn't want to let go. And he doesn't have to, because here's the thing, they get to fight. They get to, in a couple of days, they get to sort out their feelings with fists.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just still a little heartbroken from Mikhaev Cop and everything that happened there. There's just the peak of fight build.
It was objectively stupid and funny.
Yeah, I mean,
Dan Bell had a ring.
Oh no, I sucker punched him. Don't put it out there that I didn't sucker punch him. I sucker punched the shit out of him. Okay, man, we were trying to help.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped for this fight, though. Like, I really am super excited for it. Really excited.
Yeah, I'm pumped for the fight. Yeah,
I'm deeply interested. I'm less excited than I would have been a year ago. And I wrote about this week in a couple for us and for SB Nation, where it was like, I wanted this fight before Rob. Like, I was the only dude who was like, do this fight. And I was so pumped about it.
I was with you on that. I thought the Whitaker booking was redonk.
But then after the Rob, I was like, now I just have to have it. Like, there's nothing else. And then they did the Strickland, and it took all the wind out of the sails, because it's just like, I am more interested in the like nuts and bolts of this fight and less interested in the like, this is the fight, just because the last performance we saw from Izzy was horrendous. So I'm very interested. I'm less excited than I used to be.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah. The comments are getting fun, so I'm going to just blow past a few of those comments. Super chat from he's back. Our good friend Chase.
Give John Wilder money. He'll fight Tom in a second. I mean, that's probably the answer. If they offered John Jones $25 million to fight Tom Aspinall, he would fight Tom Aspinall. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I listened to the post show with you and our good friend New York Rick, and I like Rick a lot, and I respect Rick a lot. And Rick and I have very different opinions on this entire situation. And I found myself being a ghost and yelling at at Rick talking about John, because and then being mad at myself, because on the one hand, and Casey, I know that you particularly are a staunch defender of this line of the UFC is to blame. And my reasonable, rational self says, yes, the UFC is the buck stops with the UFC. There is a price they could pay, as Rick says, to make this fight happen. And that John is not scared of him, because John isn't. John's a chicken, but he's not actually afraid. He's a professional fist fighter. Almost no professional fist fighter is afraid to get in a fist fight. The issue at hand is not if you pay John an exorbitant amount, this fight will happen. That is accurate of literally any person on the planet. Everyone has a price that they will do just about anything for. So yes, we could find a number. The question is that number exceedingly beyond the norm for his basic situations, which I believe is. I do believe John would fight Tom Aspinall. I don't believe John will fight Tom Aspinall for the same money he will get to fight Stipe Miocic, or frankly, the same, like a kick from that. I think to get him to fight Tom, it will be a wilder money and terrific, but that is meaningless in the context of this conversation. Like, yes, everyone would do that. There is, if you gave him the UFC, he would fight him, but you not doing that is not the same for what this conversation is, which is, are what you asking a reasonable increase from the standard that you normally operate under? Now, I've been very clear. I don't think John has to fight Tom. I've never once said that he should. I totally understand his reasons not. But the gymnastics of, well, this is actually not John's fault. No, John plays a part. John plays a part. If the UFC is trying to lowball him, sure, but they're not. They would offer him the same rate. And part of the story is that John was unwilling to fight Tom Aspinall for anything less than a substantial improvement in his normal pay.
Okay.
There you go.
Josh,
Anything
Ladd,
else?
I don't believe either of those words that you used are slurs.
Michael, after 305, what's your most anticipated fight to all? I think it has to be unanimous, right? Like, I think this is a unanimous Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria, right?
Oh, I misread that. I was like, the main event, after UFC 305. Let me just make sure, but I'm like fairly certain that's correct.
Yeah, because most fights just haven't been booked yet.
Yeah.
I mean, O'Malley Marab's interesting too, but
I
really like that fight, but no, it's Ilya Max is
Ilya Max, because
that's tremendous.
It's head and shoulders above the rest of them.
Yeah.
And you know why? You know what gives it the extra bonus points? You know, when you take a spelling test in 5th grade and then you can have the dictation bonus. So instead of getting 100, you can get 110. The fact that that fight is happening in Abu Dhabi and we get to watch it at like 4 p.m. Eastern time. That goes from an A+ to an A++ just for that.
Do we? Is it 4 p.m. Eastern time?
Main card starts at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, yeah. I did not realize that. Oh, I love daytime pay-per-views.
Abu Dhabi, baby.
That's
daytime
weird.
MMA.
Oh,
Daytime MMA.
That oil money, yes. Afternoon pay-per-views.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
It's the best.
I mean, it's terrific. It's weird. There's no rhyme or reason to why they do that, but great, terrific.
Isn't the bags of money?
Abu Dhabi's paying them all the money. Yeah.
It's those bags of money that our sheiks don't want to stay up and come at too late. So
I don't know. They didn't do it with like some of the other shits that happen, and they get paid big bags of money. But
which
terrific.
I don't think Manchester's paying
the
them
last
all the money.
time they went to Abu Dhabi, like a month ago.
For pay-per-view?
That was an afternoon card.
I mean,
that was an afternoon.
Was it an afternoon card?
Yeah.
Am I thinking of Saudi? Am I conflating it with Saudi?
Saudi was also afternoon.
When did they not do this?
You're thinking 304.
Manchester. Yeah, but they also didn't pay Manchester either. So
yeah, they didn't get all the money.
Like Manchester would have paid them to be there. I don't know.
No,
it just seems dumb. Just do all of this all the time.
It's the bags of money. Yeah. All right. Thank you much. So yeah, Ilya Holloway. That's the answer. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's wrap up the rest of these because I gotta get ready to pick my kid up soon. Big Hangman fan. Really respect his willingness to face tough stylistic matchups with guys like Islam and Matoush on short notice. Love to see him fight Charlie Olives with the win. Thoughts?
with
You
a
know,
win.
It's a really
honestly,
big matchup, actually.
yeah, honestly, outside of the main event, Dan Hooker has the most to gain on this entire card. And I don't think it's like a hot take or anything, but it's 100% Dan Hooker has the most to gain on this card. Becomes a top 5 lightweight. He's pretty popular. This would be a gigantic win for him. Gigantic. All those fights are in play if he wins.
I mean, Chucky Olives, Gaethje, or Poirier rematch are all in play, and I would watch any of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Got a lot to gain here. I even think he has a real chance to win, which is talked about this No Bets Barred this week. I was so ready to fade him, and the Mateusz Gamrot is like exactly the perfect style matchup to not make my concerns with Dan Hooker real. I believe Dan Hooker is shot. Not like shot, but like the Jalen Turner fight, as I was watching it, I was like, this is like when Robbie and Carlos fought and they were never the same afterwards. I'm pretty sure Dan Hooker is never the same after this fight, but he expertly gets a style matchup where the dude isn't going to punch him in the face. And so like that won't be a huge issue. Like won't be an issue for him against Gamrot. So, also, did you see Hooker's quote about Gamrot this week, which was super mean but deeply funny? He swings his arms. I wouldn't call what he does striking.
Yeah. Yep.
That's great. Sick burn.
Dan Hooker's been in a lot of battles, man. I think Felder and Poirier were like 4 months apart, right? Him and Felder beat the brakes off each other. And then Poirier was, I think, a June Apex card. And they beat the shit out of each other again. Like, and then the Turner fight was insane too. Dude's been.
They were in fact just about 4 months apart. Yeah. Then Michael Chandler killed him, and
him taking
killed him.
Hooker taking over a year off was very smart too. It
was really smart. I think he's going to be done the next time he fights somebody who hits him. Which is why but I would love to see him fight Oliveira if he beats Gamrot. I'd also love to see him fight Gaethje. I'd watch him rematch Poirier. He's a fun fighter.
Yeah. You don't want to pick in Hooker?
Straight up, I haven't decided yet. I do have a bet on Dan Hooker. I'm not sure I can pick him straight up, but I might do it just for funsies. Like I think Gamrot's a really bad striker, and Hooker's a really good defensive wrestler. Yes, Islam took him down. Islam's also Islam. And Islam's much better at consolidating control on the floor than Gamrot is, so I really do think he has a good chance. I have a bet on him. I might pick him straight up, though. That is a lot to add. That's a different question than the value of a bet.
Yeah, I think if you're betting on this as like a single bet, I think you have to bet Dan Hooker. I have Gamrot as a parlay piece in one of my parlays. I just think he's going to be able to take. Dan is a really good defensive wrestler, but Mateusz Gamrot is.
He's going to shoot 100 times. He's going to shoot 100 times.
He sure is. Yeah, I think he's going to win a decision, and crowd probably won't like it too much. And the thing that sucks the most for Gamrot is that's how this fight's probably going to happen, and he's going to get absolutely nothing from it.
Man deserves a title fight. Man deserves a title fight. Let him fight for the belt.
Yeah, even if he knocks out Hooker in the first round, he's still not going to get anything from it. It's just the rankings and the way everything's lined up right now.
If he knocks out Hooker in the first round, he might. Like I'm not trying to anger you, Mike. No,
he ain't jumping Armin.
Armin.
No.
He has a win over Armin. Armin has the inside track.
No, he doesn't.
I know you Yes, he does. I know you disagree. The scoreboard is the scoreboard, man.
Scoreboard's lying. The scoreboard is lying.
That's what matters. The ball don't lie, and that's where it's at. And so, like, I don't think he would jump him, but if Armin gets tweaked and can't do whatever the timeline is for Islam, if he wins his fight, maybe he just gets to be the backup again or whatever. But like
why? So when the opponent falls out, they can bring in Max Holloway to fight for the belt instead.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mike.
That was
when
the
you
most
weigh in as the
embarrassing.
backup, you get to fight for the belt. That's what Dana told us. When you weigh in as the backup, you're the next guy up. And so there is a outside chance that if he wins this, he is fighting for the title next. I would not say it's likely. I would not say it's remotely likely, but 5-10%, I would say that that's in play.
I would be more okay with that than Michael Chandler getting a title shot. That's for sure. But,
what if instead of getting Conor, they make Michael Chandler fight Mateusz Gamrot?
in the main event?
Hey, sorry you lost out on Conor. What if you fight Mateusz? Have fun.
No, I think honestly, I think they would, if they can't get Conor, I think they would offer Chandler Sarukian for the interim belt. I think that's what
I
they
could
would
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Sure.
Which is insane.
I mean, not
insane.
good, but it does make sense.
Yeah.
Damn it. We're talking
That
about
is
Conor
the
again.
logic of the UFC.
Yeah. All right. Do we have anything else?
Yeah, we're gonna we have about 5 or 6 super chats, so we're gonna hit them. We're gonna hit them now.
Let's rifle through them. The great Ryan Leaf. Better moniker, Stylebender, or Still Knox?
I don't entirely know if I
Stylebender.
understand what Still Knox is.
Yeah.
Still
He's
Knox.
DDP. I don't even.
Is that his nickname?
Still Knox is
Still
his
Knox
nickname.
is his nickname.
No, it's not.
It's
I don't-
DDP.
I don't acknowledge it.
It's me. It's DDP. That's it. So Stylebender by default.
Yeah, Stylebender. Yeah.
It's like the Reaper. It's Bobby
Yeah.
Knuckles.
Yeah, it's about,
Izzy versus DDP rivalry reminds me of Cop Makayev letdown.
So very possible we are going to have a preview show later today, where we will obviously talk a little more in depth. We didn't have that many questions about that, which was nice. There's not too much overlap, but Fahim, I would say that I think there's an extremely high likelihood you are correct here.
Tune into the preview show because I'm going to disagree with both of you. See you at 4 p.m. Eastern.
So is DDP gonna try to pants Izzy in the cage and make the ref
that would
force
be-
the rules? Make the
Don't make me do my
don't
job.
make me do my job. All right.
Also, Mike, how can you say that you're not looking forward to the press conference when after what Izzy tweeted, there's a real chance we get a Kimbo whip out
Baby
your
nuts.
nuts. I bet my nuts are bigger than yours. Like that is in play. If these men know their history, they should do that.
I mean, if that
You got
happens,
baby
and
nuts,
there's a
Dada.
clip- if there's a
You
clip
fool.
and something that I see, awesome, but it will not enhance the anticipation for the fight any more or less, is what I'll say.
If DDP
What do you do
comes to the presser and just starts by saying you got baby nuts, Izzy, it's my favorite fighter of all time. It's not up for
I'm
debate.
moving up the rankings already.
He is immediately top 3 pound for pound, win or lose if he does that. You got baby nuts.
What do you do? What do you do with Kevin Holland with Curtis out?
I saw Chris Curtis is out. It doesn't matter. It's Kevin Holland.
Yeah,
He'll fight anybody. It'll be fine. You have multiple weight classes to work.
I would say
Kevin
Mikhail Zaechek, but we just saw this because
It's also just
perfect.
It is a
body.
little weird just because the dudes are like the back end of the middleweight rankings. I don't want Holland to fight them because I would like Kyle Baralho is booked. Michelle Pajeda deserves to get an upward momentum here. Same with Fluffy. He already fought Hamzat, so like you either have to move him up the rankings or he's got to fight back. And I think
What's
I would
Gregory
default to
Rodriguez
fight-
up to?
I mean, I would also like Gregory
Yeah.
Rodriguez, frankly, to get a rank shot, but that'd be fun. That's a fun fight. Do that, sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Or send Kevin, back to middleweight and fight. I don't know.
This is a
Do the
middleweight,
Buckley
yeah.
fight.
It's a middleweight fight.
Yeah, it is a middleweight.
Yeah, but Kevin can still go to welterweight. Do the Buckley fight.
Yeah, I don't hate that either.
Yeah, Buckley. Actually,
Run that
Buckley,
back.
Yeah, actually do Buckley Holland at 85. They'll be down with that. That makes sense.
They already have been down for that, so do it again.
Yeah, do it again. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't mind.
Paul Craig? I would like that. That'd be fun.
Shabazian.
I like that. Actually, I like
Paul
that
Craig.
a lot. I think Paul Craig's a really
Paul
good
Craig.
answer.
Yeah, whatever. There's a lot of good answers.
Someone's
for that.
getting got. Yeah.
So it's a guy who's popular, but not going to hold up divisions. Like it.
All-time favorite Dana rant. Jesus Christ. There's a bunch.
Favorite like all time is like it's awesome or all time like oh man, well, here we are. My
The Anderson
all-time-
Silva stuff was pretty good at the time after the Damian Maia fight. That was pretty good.
My favorite Dana trick was that when we used to do the hour-long kind of scrums after press conferences, and if something kind of hit, there was kind of a quiet moment, and you could feel Dana was just going to kind of bounce, someone would just mention, Dana, Bob Arum. And that's all he would say. And then you would just say Bob Arum.
Great.
Yeah, Arum ones are great, yeah.
And this is recency, so I'd have to think more, but the 302 or 301, whenever he went on the rant and was like, John Jones is the greatest fighter of all time, and the question was not remotely about pound for pound or John Jones or anything, he just found a lane to veer over and be like, I would like to talk about this. You've asked me about whoever, Pantoja or whatever. Is like, no, we're in this room now. I find that deeply funny. Trying to think of other.
That was pretty funny because that was our own Jose Youngs who asked Dana White, where does Islam rank in the pantheon of the lightweight division? And it turned
where does Islam rank as far as like all-time lightweights? Let me tell you about John Jones.
That was good. That was a good one.
What happened?
All right.
Because like a lot of his previous rants were way worse, like way more. Like his rants about Cyborg before she came to the UFC were just like,
I didn't want to go to those
horrible.
ones. Those are just
they're not
bad,
fun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember when a couple of his quotes, but it's not.
I remember years ago, it was the first time I heard the word, but Dana for a while went on. He started talking about the quote unquote the pussification of America. That was like his word he liked to use.
That term's fallen out of favor. We haven't heard a lot of that one.
I was like, oh god.
Well, he's gone the other way and just said, if you're even remotely a savage, you're gonna run everybody over. That's his new thing.
Got to be a savage
that I see all the time, even remotely.
Which I actually, to whoever said this at the start of the episode, that's actually true. I would say that that's really bad. And like the other way to phrase that is if you don't value or consider other human beings, you will get your way. And that's 100% accurate. But that's also been 100% accurate for the entirety of human history. Now is not especially a time, which is like, if you just don't give a shit about anyone else, you're probably going to do okay. Sociopaths are littered throughout history as successful humans.
Yeah, they do well. Yeah. Miserable people.
Anything else?
They do well. Two more.
Thoughts on Strickland Tiki drama and relative media silence comparison? Anything else Sean is involved with? I don't know. We haven't heard from Tiki's side, so not much really to comment on.
Yeah, so I've seen some people push back about this as like MMA media is not covering it. And there's like a very clear reason. These are thus far unsubstantiated claims, and they're claims with like real heft to them. This is not, an MMA site publishing Dana says Conor won't fight. And like, that's an unsubstantiated claim, but there's also like, no one's going to sue you for libel over that, whereas like as much as you can couch, this is what Sean Strickland is saying, you do want to be like a little clear about kind of how this is going. And like, I would just say that Sean Strickland is, not like the cleanest narrator, obviously, but combat sports in general and MMA are filled with horrible people. And it would not surprise me if any claims made about anyone in the space were true, frankly, because I don't know, that's just par for the course. So if we know something concrete, it will be reported. At this juncture, to the best of my knowledge, we do not.
All right, and our very last super chat.
Sorry for the charge question. Was just curious. PS Jed Fad Club UK chapter.
I don't know. What did Bushido ask?
About the race stuff.
No,
that's
fine.
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's not a charged question. It's a real question.
It's a story. It is a charged issue. The question was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, and it should be a charged issue. I mean, it's a thing.
My issue is your framing of the question, not the question in general. Yeah. But it is like it's part of this. It's part of the story. It is a part they have tried very hard to steer away from for, I think, obvious reasons. But that's how this fight happened at first. Like the DDP came to prominence in Izzy's radar as that dude.
How different is this fight week if this is in South Africa? Man,
It's
way
so
different.
lit if this
it's
is in Africa.
way,
It's so good if this is in Africa.
yeah.
It's so good if this is in Africa.
Man, but the two kings, Izzy and Kamaru.
Oh God.
Only two of them.
Only the two kings.
I love part of that clip. I do love that like other people and Francis came out and was like, this was why when it first happened, like the first Cameroonian thing resurfaced.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
Oh,
well,
my
actually,
God,
Francis
yeah.
is Cameroonian, and actually, Sogoju was Cameroonian in the UFC like a decade ago. You guys are so intent on erasing Francis from the UFC record book that Sogoju's catching strays.
Catch the strays. So you're just sitting at home. What'd I do? We good, Mr. Heck?
Oh yeah, we're good.
All right.
We're good. But don't you worry.
We'll be back
305
soon.
chatter coming up in less than 2 hours from right now. So don't go anywhere. Grab yourself a bite to eat, walk your dog, whatever you got to do, and then come back at 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk 305. I think Jed's going to sit in the hosting chair this time, and we'll just banter about that way. What do you think?
This is my trial run for when I take over the MMA hour.
Yes, this is it. This is your trial. This is your big moment. It's your big moment. So we'll discuss that and so much more throughout the rest of the week. Back next week to recap it all. For Casey, for Jed, I am Mike Heck. Appreciate you. The Voice of Vesterland takes you home. Good night, everybody.
Love y'all.
This has been Between the Links, an MMA fighting production on the Vox Media Network.